side thinks that they're right. If I had to say what is probably the most good, like
Yeah.
honestly, the most good would probably be the druids and the shamans. Like
The
as
people who are at balance with
they're
nature.
they're they're at balance because and even then, like if you look at the atrocities that the elemental lords Ragnaros, Alakir, Therazane, and Neptulon they did, like all they wanted to do was kick the crap out of each other, and each one of them just wanted to run the planet the way they wanted to run it. So even the elements warred with themselves, but the shamans and the druids are probably the most balanced and kind of peaceful. But every single side has had a moment in time where they've been evil. Like every faction, every all of them, the gnomes, the goblins, the humans, the orcs, the trolls, the elves, like they've all done terrible things. It just depends. And I just want to say I don't think Warcraft has gotten soft. It hasn't.
Yeah.
It has gotten more emotional depth and
That's yeah.
it's I'm sorry. Sylvanas lit the Darnassus tree up and destroyed Night Elf culture. That is not light and soft. She lit the damn tree on fire and destroyed them. That is not
Yeah.
soft.
Good take. Good take. Well, and I like what you said about how like WoW has always been woke. When we were talking about like, oh, everything's gone woke in World of Warcraft and blah blah blah, and you were like, yeah, like a lot of writing like this in fantasy and in different, I don't know, like entertainment veins with like books or shows, or you had mentioned X-Men as well, and talking about how like people process the things that are happening in this world, whether it is like, tragedy or injustice or, any kind of like, that kind of stuff, it ends up rolling into our writing and into the media that we consume and into the worlds that we escape to and stuff. So I think that was a really good take when you're like, it's always been woke. Like
It's always been
never not
woke.
been.
It
It's
wasn't
always
as
talked
woke as
about
it
those things.
deserved to be because I mean if you go back and you look at images of how was Taronda originally drawn, how was Alex Straza originally drawn, how were all of the female characters drawn, because the game at the time was more prevalent among young men, and so they drew the women and female characters a certain way. And then as our world and culture became a little bit more aware of, sorry, and this is going to make people not like me, and I don't give a shit. Culturally, as we've realized that, maybe there is a lot of misogyny, and maybe there are some really bad toxic masculine traits that have permeated our culture that have become norm that need to be corrected. Like anybody that's like X-Men's woke now. X-Men was built to be woke in the 1960s. X-Men's always been woke. Warcraft has always been woke. It's just that as time and culture and society have come to terms and have tried to make changes, you're seeing it reflected in how characters like Jaina are drawn now and what her story is. Look at Alex Straza now. Look at Sylvanas when she showed up and she's just wearing a bikini with leg guards, and now she has a full suit of leather armor. Like,
Yeah, God
it
forbid
is.
we give the warriors clothes.
Oh my god, I can't believe Warcraft is so woke. Why can't I see Taronda's boobs anymore?
Dude, it's called Google. Get your gratification elsewhere, please, for the love of God. Like, seriously, like, get over it, man.
Crazy.
So like, it's not that it's woke, it's that the emotional depth of the story has evolved, and there is still utter brutality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still boring. It's just the story's evolved. It's changed.
Yeah, and as somebody who's getting into the lore now, I don't know if these little, well, I do know that there have always the world and the storyline has always been rich. I just haven't dug into it until now, but I'll tell you what's been really wrecking me is the children. Dude, the children of the Amani, Kanza's story, and like underneath the little like dance studio, they have a whole area where kids are just playing. Like the developers, they took such care into building such a really living world. And I'm like thinking about this, and like like when you have a world at war, people forget about the women and children, and Blizzard did not.
Nope.
But literally the Amani children, oh my goodness. I was like, here we are, just, making our way down the Sojourner of Zulaman achievements, and then we hit Khan's story. And as a mom, I was like,
Are you aware that I don't know if it's still there. Are you aware that Orgrimmar had an orphanage?
oh no, I did not. Oh wait, yes, I did. I actually knew that because of the horrific visions. But yes, the Loa of the Children, that one, and Khan's story. I was like, Blizzard,
Yeah.
what are you doing to me? What, I need to go wake my 3-year-old up and just hold her. And that is the type of stuff. Listen, also, to bring this back, this is also why there are certain people that think it's gone soft, because it's including all layers of life that are uncomfortable when you think about war and battle. But if anything, it makes it more real and more honest and more painful for those of us that will. See, what happens psychologically is like people have this like hardcore built-in avoidance instinct, and I think that that's what a lot of these people who are like now outraged at how like the lore has changed and stuff like that, what they don't recognize is that their default avoidance pattern is in action. Basically, they're activated, and it's a different type of fight or flight. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on to our next question. Yes, Valiant Honor, I agree. War is horrible on all sides. Okay, so this is a longer question. Ooh, it doesn't make it any bigger for you guys seeing it on the screen, so sorry, but I'll read it to you, and I'll read it slowly and repeat pieces if I need to. Okay. I have a question around alternate timelines and the Bronze Dragons that may or may not have an answer.
Okay.
The Bronze Dragons exist to keep the main timeline pure, in quotes, and the history and or future progressing as intended. But what exactly entails this intended progression? Are there Bronze Dragons that know what will happen, has happened, and is happening, and just steer Azeroth toward that intended future regardless of what might or will happen in the future?
That's a really good question. The best way that I can answer that is you got to remember that the original Dragonflights, they were empowered by the Keepers. The original Dragonflights were not empowered by the Pantheon. The original dragons, after they helped Keeper Tyr destroy Galakrond, Keeper Tyr and the rest of the Titan Forged, with the exception of Odin, they wanted to infuse the dragon aspects with their power and make the dragon aspects kind of watchers of the world. Odin did not want any part of this. He was the prime designate, and he was all pissed off, and he went and made the Halls of Valor, and, he ended up getting trapped in the Halls of Valor and all that, and then, so the original Dragonflights, they were only empowered by the Keepers. Now, this is important to remember because the Keepers were a fragment of a power of the Pantheon. Aman'Thul and them have their grand scheme of how they want things to go, and they created the Titan Forged to ensure that things would go a certain way. The Titan Forged then passed that power on to the Dragonflights. So the sacred timeline that the Bronze Dragonflights are protecting, it's probably a subconscious influence from the Titan Keepers that was given to the Titan Keepers by the Pantheon. So they believe that they're following the right timeline because the energy they were infused with is probably making them feel that it's the right timeline. Because, again, the Pantheon wants Azeroth to ignite. And the whole
Who's
scene...
the Pantheon?
The Aman'Thul, Aenar, Khaz'goroth, Golganeth, Agramar, Sargeras, like the Titans.
Okay.
They just think of the Titans. I always say the Pantheon, but the Titans, the Pantheon, same thing.
Okay.
So the Bronze Dragonflight was empowered by the Keepers. The Keepers were empowered and created by the Pantheon. Now, what's interesting now is the Dragonflights, after the expansion Dragonflights, The dragons are no longer empowered by the keepers. Remember, in Cataclysm, they gave up their power to destroy Deathwing. The dragons, though, have been re-empowered. They are now directly empowered by Azeroth. So the Dragonflights now are way stronger than they ever were. Because remember, they were infused previously by the Keepers, which were little mini versions of the Pantheon. Now they're being directly empowered by Azeroth herself. Granted, she's not a fully formed Titan. They are now infused with Titan power. So the dragon aspects may see a different timeline and a different fate because Azeroth isn't really a part of that, like she's not a part of the Pantheon. So she's kind of doing her own thing. So the Dragonflights could see different timelines and they could have a different motive for influencing now. Very long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's totally good. I wonder if we'll get another follow-up to that, but I was just I was pulling up some stuff as you're talking. I'm like pulling up Google images like Mr. Sperry said, and then Fox said that Chromie was the first trans character in WoW, and I didn't know that.
Yes.
I was like, what the heck? I had not a clue.
Yes. Matthias Shaw is confirmed to be gay. Rathian is rumored to be, and there's a couple other characters.
Wow. Crazy. See? Look, chat. Woke as hell. All right.
They're destroying my game.
Okay. Anyway, onward to woke AF. Speaking of woke and gay things and blah blah blah. I love everybody that's like, okay, so when is the whole Liadrin and Zul'Jara storyline happening? Like, when is their life taking off? Like, when are they having their awakening?
In my opinion, I had the same inclination based on their story. What I think is going to happen is I think that Blizzard is going to have that love story develop the same way they did with Thalyssra and Lor'themar Theron. It's going to take place.
It won't be in game.
No, it might be in the book, because they do books in between the expansions. I don't think we're going to get a love story of Liadrin and Zul'Jara in the game.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be, you're going to show them like, oh, they're now a thing. Okay, that would have been great to know about.
Yeah, honestly, yes. And also, I still am very shallow in the lore waters. But because I was like looking at potential cosplay people, which PS, by the way, after actually seeing like Dark Lady, Nyx, Serena, like all of these other people who cosplay for a living, Mr. Sperry and I are like, oh, we will not be doing that, actually. We won't be doing that. But also, I was interested in cosplaying Thalyssra and Lor'themar, and I love them. Love their story. I love their story. As also just as like a feeler, like I'm just generally an emotional person, as everybody knows, but also as an artist and a musician and a poet and all of that stuff. I'm like, oh, I love them so much. Okay. So on to the next question.
Okay.
If the Titans are beings of order, why do they behave like conquerors instead of caretakers? Are they Azeroth's caretakers or jailers? Asks Absolver.
The Titans are a bunch of egotistical D-bags that do not care about anything other than increasing their numbers. They're a bunch. Aman'Thul is peak lonely male epidemic who he wants a family. He just wants a family. He just wants a family of Pantheon so he can sit at the head of the table and think that he's King Kong. He does not care about mortal races. He does not care about anything other than I want more Titans. Like as soon as Azeroth is ready to wake up, He like which mortals, huh? Like we're